Hello everyone, and welcome back to Tiny Kitchen Cooks. This is Cameron. Today we're going to be making three of my Mediterranean favorites. We're going to be making homemade falafel, we're going to be making homemade hummus, and we're going to be making homemade tzatziki sauce. Now, two of those are fully vegan. They are all vegetarian, they're all delicious, so let's make it together. We're going to start out with the hummus just because we have to do a little bit of prep for that. But for the hummus, we have the following ingredients. We have one 400 gram or approximately 15 ounce can of chickpeas. We have half a teaspoon of baking soda. We have 1/4 cup of lemon juice, which I'm going to be using our juicer here to make. We have 1 clove of garlic roughly chopped. We have half a teaspoon of finely ground sea salt. We have a half a cup of tahini. We're going to be using 2 to 4 tablespoons roughly of ice water. We'll get to that in a little bit. And 1 tablespoon of extra virgin olive oil. Now this is obviously more than one because we're going to be using it for several things. So here we go. The very first thing we need to do is we need to drain and rinse our chickpeas. Then we're going to actually boil them on high with our baking soda for about 20 minutes. This will help soften them up and get them to the texture that we need to blend. So let's get started with that. All right, our chickpeas have now been drained and rinsed. They're ready to go into our pot, so we'll go ahead and do that first. Add them right in. Next, we're going to just cover with water, and we'll go ahead and let those boil away for 20 minutes on high. Here we go. See you in 20 minutes. By the way, I forgot to mention, I did go ahead and add our baking soda straight into the boiling water. While that's boiling away, let's go ahead and juice up our lemons. Now, those 2 lemons were a bit on the small side, but as you can see, that gave us exactly 1/4 cup of freshly squeezed juice, which is what we needed. Also, while our chickpeas are boiling away, we can take this opportunity to go ahead and put in our garlic, our lemon juice, and our salt into the food processor, and we're just going to allow it to chill for about 10 minutes to allow it to mellow. So here we go. First take our garlic, then our salt, and our fresh squeezed lemon juice. Put my lid on. Next, we're just going to whiz everything together. You just want to blend until everything is nice and smooth. And that looks like we've got it there. So now just set it aside, allow it to rest for 10 minutes. See you soon. Alright, that's now been boiling away for 20 minutes. So next we're going to just go ahead and rinse everything off and allow it to cool. Got a colander here, put that in the sink. I'm going to put that directly into the colander. Set our pot to the side. And we're just going to rinse with normal tap water for about 30 seconds. Give that a quick shake, and this is what we're left with. We'll just set that to the side for a moment. Alright, now that our garlic, lemon, and salt have been chilling for a while, we're just going to add in our tahini. Put the lid back onto our food processor or food chopper, and we're just going to blend it all together. And into that we're going to add just a tiny little bit of ice water. Blend it one more time until everything is smooth. Let's take a look. Alright, as you can see, that is nice and smooth. Now, time to add everything else. First, we're going to go ahead and add in our chickpeas. And into that, we're going to add a little bit of olive oil. And a little bit more ice water. And now we just blend everything until it's nice and smooth. Now, since this is technically a food chopper and not a food processor, I do have to go ahead and take the lid off and keep checking every now and then. So let's check. That's a pretty good consistency. It's a little bit on the thick side, so I'm going to add a little bit more olive oil and I'm going to add a little bit more ice water. And of course, don't forget, we need to add our cumin. Add our lid back on and let's give it one more spin. Alright, if I take the blades out, you can see that's got a nice smooth consistency. I think we're good now. Next, we're going to go ahead and put this in a container and we'll start on our falafel. Now that we've finished our hummus, it's time to go on to the falafel. So, for our falafel, we have the following that we need. 1/4 cup of olive oil plus 1 tablespoon reserved. 1 cup of dried uncooked chickpeas. I use these. You're going to soak them overnight. Once you do, you're left with this. a half a cup of roughly chopped onion. You can use red onion if you prefer. I didn't have red onion, so I just used normal yellow onion. A half a cup of roughly chopped parsley, mostly leaves, but you can have a few stems as well. Likewise, a half a cup of roughly chopped cilantro, mostly leaves, but you can have a few stems as well on that. 4 cloves of garlic that have been quartered, 1 teaspoon of fine ground sea salt, a half a teaspoon of ground black pepper, half a teaspoon of cumin, and a 1/4 teaspoon of cinnamon. So that's all of our ingredients. All right, so now we just need to put everything into the food processor or food chopper. So first our chickpeas. Next, our onion. I'm gonna have to give this a chop first before we have the other ingredients, just because, as you can see, I don't have a very large container. Next, our parsley. I'm gonna have to really press this down, followed by our cilantro, followed by our garlic, followed by our salt, and followed by our pepper, cumin, and cinnamon. Next, we'll just go ahead and blend everything together. Now, since my chopper is small, I'm going to take some of this back out, blend again, then re-add. Now I'll go ahead and add the olive oil in, blend it up a little bit more, then we'll add the rest back. Now we're starting to get somewhere. Add these back in a little bit at a time, pushing down the sides as I go. Okay, that took quite a bit longer than if I had a proper food processor, but hey, it worked. This is more or less what we're left with. I'm just gonna give everything a quick stir, show you the consistency, but it should be a nice paste that sticks together. And then we're just going to form balls, put it onto our baking sheet and flatten them. And then we're going to put them into a nice 375 degree Fahrenheit or about 190 degrees centigrade oven that's been preheated. All right, everyone, and that's the texture we're looking for. That's what we're left with. I've got a nice baking sheet ready to go. I took some of our olive oil and spread it thinly over the entire thing. We're just going to put our balls that we're going to turn into discs or patties, if you will, and then we're going to just put that straight into the oven. And when all's done, this is what you're left with. I'll see you at the oven. All right, so the oven's already been preheated. We're going to go ahead and just put these in for about 20 to 30 minutes, and we're going to flip them halfway. Here we go. While our falafel is baking in the oven, let's go ahead and make our tzatziki. We need the following. About 2 cups of shredded cucumber, 1.5 cups of plain Greek yogurt, about 2 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil, about 2 teaspoons of dill, about 2 teaspoons of garlic powder, and about a half a teaspoon of salt. 1 tablespoon of lemon juice. First, let's go ahead and put it in our yogurt. Set that to the side. Next, our grated or shredded cucumber. Go ahead and press that out to get rid of as much of the water as possible. Next, let's go ahead and add in our olive oil. There's 1 tablespoon, there's 2 tablespoons, and last, our 1 tablespoon of lemon juice. And finally, let's add in all of our seasonings. And let's give everything a nice stir. And there we have it, everyone. That's our tzatziki. All right, these have been in for about 15 minutes now. Looks like they're starting to brown up a little bit. Let's go ahead and give each one a flip and then back into the oven. Ooh, as you can see, that's starting to get some nice color there. It smells heavenly. And there we have it, back into the oven for about another 15 minutes. All right, that's been about 30 minutes. Let's go ahead and see what we got. Those are looking pretty good. Let me give you a close-up. That looks pretty tasty indeed. All right, let's take these back into the tiny kitchen and we'll plate up and see how everything is. All right, so let's plate it up. We've got our falafel here. We've got our tzatziki here. We've got our homemade hummus here. Got some nice pita here. Let's just go ahead and open that up. All right, so we'll put some tzatziki on one side. We'll put some of our hummus on the other side. And we'll take a few of our falafel. And that's what we're left with. Let's give it a try. I'd call that a success. And that's it. The ultimate homemade Mediterranean trio. Crispy golden falafel, ultra creamy hummus, and cool, refreshing tzatziki. Simple ingredients, big, bold flavor, and all made right here in a tiny kitchen. If you try this combo, I promise you'll never look at store-bought the same way again. I also want to give proper credit and a huge thank you to Kathryne Taylor from Cookie and Kate for their inspiration behind these recipes. Her approach to fresh, wholesome, flavor-packed vegetarian cooking truly inspired this version. I've adapted the recipes to fit my kitchen, my style, and my process, but the original creative inspiration belongs to her incredible work. Be sure to check her out at cookieandkate.com for more amazing vegetarian recipes. If you love this video, hit like, subscribe, and drop a comment telling me, are you Team Falafel, Team Hummus, or Team Tzatziki? Thanks for cooking with me, and I'll see you next time on
Tiny Kitchen Cooks.